Dominica, who told us she was born to fly. Well, I was one of those people. I knew exactly what I wanted to do after school. And so I still vividly recall that afternoon when my parents came home from my final parent-teacher meeting with a suggestion from a teacher that was completely different to what I had in mind. I remember shuddering and thinking, oh, before I tell you what I was thinking, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I feel privileged to have grown up in rural Ireland, in a small town on a peninsula tucked away in the Atlantic. Dingle, a place where everybody knows your name, and they're probably related to you too. It is a magical place. We even have a resident dolphin. And when I was younger, I used to say to people that I wish I didn't come from here, so that I could go there on my holidays. Now I do. We did everything, or we spoke English at home, but in school we did everything through Irish, even French. And I think this instilled in me a sense of place and identity that was very core to who I was then, but also to who I am today. I've spent most of my adult life as an expatriate. I've lived and worked in Australia, Sub-Saharan Africa, Switzerland, and Manchester even. And living amongst different cultures, I became very fascinated by this concept of identity. What does it mean to be Irish? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to others to fight or die for their country? So about 10 years ago, I went back to university and I studied nationalism and ethnic conflict. I answered my question, but I was left with many more questions and identities. And one of those identities that's very close to my heart is my love of sport and adventure. And when I was living in Geneva, I found CrossFit. Are there any CrossFitters in the audience? Yeah, I knew it as soon as I saw you. Well, for those of you that don't know, CrossFit is a series of quite challenging and varied workouts that are meant to help you improve your overall physical performance, your strength and conditioning. And they take place in a class that's in a very supportive and encouraging environment. But the best part of it is all exercises are scaled to your own ability. So when I joined, I couldn't lift the ladies' 15 kg bar up over my head. In fact, I could barely lift it at all. So I had to go down to the 10 kg, and slowly as I turned up at classes, practiced and took on the feedback and advice of my coaches, I improved technique and strength. And by the time I left Geneva, I could lift 40 kg up over my head. When you join CrossFit, you join a community, a club. Some would say a cult. But actually, I think it's more like the Toastmasters of exercise. And I am here to improve my speaking performance. Growing up in Dingle, I didn't have too much opportunity to get involved in sport, but by 1990, that was changing, and an athletics club opened in the town. I discovered I was a strong sprinter, but 16 was too late to start training for the Olympics. However, my passion for sport was ignited. And as well as training and competing, I would coach the junior members of the club. This is how I knew I wanted to be a sports teacher after school. Alas, the competition for the course was fierce. My Olympic prowess didn't show. I didn't get an offer. Never mind, I'll take a year off. I'll reapply next year. They'll see how much I want this. I'll be fine. But little did I know that the part of my identity that would shine through most in that year was my love of numbers. Susan should be an accountant. My my teacher had told my parents. And I laughed and shuddered and said, oh no, they're boring and wear glasses. But what I missed most that year outside of school was working with numbers. So I changed course. I did a degree in business. I qualified as an accountant with Deloitte. And if I had to do it all over again, I would choose accountancy. It was right for me. Except, throughout my career, people have always said to me, but you don't seem like a typical accountant. So when I moved to Oxford, I decided it was time to start my own venture. And I thought, well, how might I challenge and change this perception, this stereotypical identity of accountants? So I've replaced sports coaching with people coaching, and I'm now standing in front of you today as an image consultant for accountants. Bringing their technical skills closer to their people skills, closer to their technical skills, so that they can see beyond and be seen beyond the numbers. Thank you.